All right, everyone. So I just wanted to go over 6 nights of dinners from the food pantry this week. As you know, last week when I did the haul, I showed you all the food we received, and we received 2 pounds of ground beef in that haul, and we used both of those pounds to get us through about 4 days of dinner for 2 people. So you've already seen me make the meatloaf and scalloped potatoes, which I have here, but I'm just showing it because this was the first 2 nights of food pantry dinners from the ground beef that we received. So on the first night that I made this meatloaf, Glenn ate off of this, and then I actually ate from a previous food pantry meal that was in the freezer as leftovers, which was the chicken dinner. But I'll show you that next. But I used some food pantry items to go with that also. So 2 nights, this meatloaf was used, and the scalloped potatoes, and some of the stuff I made for myself. So on the second night of this meatloaf, I actually ate some of it as well. So 2 people still ate off this meatloaf. I'll show you just as a reminder what I ate when Glenn ate this on the first night. Okay, so this was also a food pantry meal, and this I made for myself. Now the food on the right is you can't probably tell, but it was chicken with nor rice side and broccoli casserole that I made about a month ago, 2 months ago maybe, and I put the last of it in the freezer. So my goal for this week was to use all our frozen leftovers alongside of food pantry items, so that way the frozen leftovers don't get wasted as well. So this was the frozen leftovers of the chicken dinner, but on Thursday's pantry, we also received some red potatoes, which I was very happy about. So I made myself some red potatoes with bacon, butter, and some cheese. And I ate that alongside of the chicken rice casserole. So the chicken rice casserole was eaten this night, so that was gone. But I still had some leftover potato stuff, the red potatoes. So on the second night that Glenn ate the meatloaf, I also had some. And since I had red potatoes, I ate my red potatoes with that, and he finished off the scalloped potatoes. So it all worked out good. Nothing got wasted, and we utilized our food pantry items to make some pretty good meals. So the rest of the video will not be a voiceover. I only did the voiceover because I've already done the videos on this meal, but I have 2 more meals to show what we all had for dinner this week using food pantry items, and also utilizing the last of the frozen leftovers. And now all of that is out of the freezer. So let's get into the rest of the video. All right, everyone. So I have another food pantry meal for you. And just to show you how we're using our food pantry items that we received this week, mainly the ground beef, and also canned goods that we received in past weeks. So I am making a ground beef casserole. Glenn's family just called it a casserole, but for video's sake, I'll call it a ground beef casserole. And what I'm going to use are potatoes, onions, ground beef, a can of chili beans, and a can of tomato soup. So let's get started in putting this together. So I've just got some potatoes, and this is the rest of the potatoes we have. And I wanted to get them used up because they're starting to get a little rubbery. So, all right, so now I'm going to put what I did with the ground beef. I took it out of the tube and just broke it up into pieces. And we're going to put it over this. Makes it easier. And then just spread it around. And I'm just using 1 pound. I used the potatoes were small ones, a couple mediums and 1 big one. So it was the last that we had of it, and now they're all used up. All right, so now I'm going to throw some onion in there. And before I add in the next food, I'm going to salt it with salt and pepper. And now I'm going to throw in a can of chili beans. And this is just another idea of how you can use your food pantry items. So far this week, including this, we've now used both pounds of ground beef that we received last Thursday. Just spread your beans around. And a can of tomato soup. So right now I'm just going to put in one, and then I'll check it to see if it needs any more. But I think last time I made this, one can sufficed for the casserole. So 1 can of tomato soup, and then I'll just spread that around. It's going to get juicy as it bakes, so I won't put 2 cans in right now. And it's a pretty simple meal. Sorry, I got the sniffles. I've had the sniffles a lot lately. But yeah, as I said, a simple meal. Both of us are going to eat off of this for probably a couple nights. So, and now I'm just going to cover it with tin foil, and I've got the oven preheated to 350, and I'll let you know what the final bake time is after I take it out when it's done. Alright, so right now I'm going to get it in the oven and cover it first. Alright everyone, so it has been 2 hours now since I put this in. And I ended up adding another can of tomato soup at about the 40-minute mark. So next time I'll add that in right away. So it's nice and juicy now. And it's done. Yep, it's done. Alright, so there's an easy food pantry meal. And we used our ground beef, our chili beans, and our tomato soup that we received from the pantry. So yeah, alright, we're going to go ahead and enjoy supper and stay tuned for the next meal. Alright everyone, so here is going to be our third food pantry dinner for the week. I made 2 other ones using ground beef from the food pantry, and this is another pound of ground beef from the pantry that we had in our freezer, so we're utilizing that and utilizing leftovers to get them out of the freezer and eaten so they don't get forgotten. Alright, so with this I've just got some ground beef and onions in there. Once I cook that up, drain the grease, I'll add some cream of mushroom, and we're going to make a tater tot casserole for Glenn. And I will be using some leftovers for the freezer, so you'll see what I'm having. Alright everyone, so our ground beef is done. I just cooked it till it turned brown. I didn't cook it any past that. So, because it's going to be in the oven for about an hour, so. Alright, so I got the ground beef done. And now I'm going to put in the cream of mushroom. So this is the third different dinner I'm making this week. We started off the week, well, you could see in the rest of the video. But doing this just to show you how we're using our food pantry meats for supper. Dinner, supper, whatever you want to call it, in a week. So each meal has taken us 2 days each. So I only had to cook 3 different meals. Well, on the nights that it's a two meal night, if you want to classify that as more meals. But the meals that I'm cooking as the second one, so that I can use stuff from the freezer. So tonight I'll be making myself quesadillas, but instead of chicken, we made flank steak burritos about a month ago, and we ate off of it twice, but we still had some leftovers in the freezer, so I want to get that taken care of and eaten before it gets forgotten about. So I'm actually just going to warm it up and make myself some flank steak quesadillas, and that way that'll be the last leftover frozen meal we have in the freezer. So they've all been taken care of now. So that's what I'll be having tonight. And there should be enough for 2 nights of that as well. So I'll have that tomorrow night, because Glenn will have this for 2 nights for sure. So I used the 2 pounds of ground beef that we received from last week's pantry last Thursday. Tomorrow is food pantry day again. We still have the 2 packs of pork chops. I was actually going to make the pork chops tonight with what we would call a supper salad, but you would probably know it as a macaroni salad. But I knew we had that flank steak. In looking at our freezer this morning, I knew we also had some tater tots that been in there, and I wanted to get those used up. So I figured I'd make Glenn a tater tot casserole. So the flank steak and the tater tots will be used up and taken out of the freezer. Alright, so a combination of doing both, using food pantry items and using your leftover frozen, or your frozen leftover meals. Alright, so I got that in there. Now I'm going to pour in a can of peas. I drained the juice out of them, so those will go on top. Yeah, and that way I didn't have to go out and get another bag of tater tots. Just use what you have already. And normally when we made this, we would put a layer of tater tots at the bottom and then layer it and then put tater tots on top. But last time I made it, I believe he only wanted 1 layer of tater tots. And this is the last of the tater tots, so it works out perfect for a top crust. I've got the oven heated to 350, and I'm going to put this in covered for 30 minutes. And then take it out, uncover it, put some cheese on top, and put it in for another 30 minutes. So that's how we're going to do this. So another easy meal and an idea of how to use your food pantry ground beef if you have some. The peas are also from the pantry, as is the cream of mushroom. Alright, so I'm going to cover this and get it in the oven. Alright everyone, so here is the tater tot casserole. It is done now, and it's been in the oven for exactly an hour. And the tater tots look like they browned pretty nice, not too dark. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and serve Glenn his supper, and the flank steak is warming up right now, and then I'll make my quesadilla. Alright everyone, so now I'm going to make my quesadilla. I've got some butter and the tortilla in there, as you can see. Just going to put some cheese in here. So I've been wanting to do this for a while now. Use up our frozen leftovers. So I'm glad this is the last of the frozen leftovers. It's a flank steak, and it has El Pato sauce in it. Yeah, I made this probably a month to 2 months ago, and we had burritos with it. So, and there's plenty enough here for another night. So that will give me 2 nights of a meal. And the tater tot casserole gives Glenn 2 nights of a meal. So works out perfect. Leftovers get used up. Food pantry items get used. And it works out well. Blackie agrees. Alright, we're just going to let that toast up, and then we'll flip it over. Alright everyone, so here is my quesadilla. It's got a nice toast on it. So I'm just going to cut it up here. So this is a flank steak quesadilla. Using what we had left over before we made new meals. Well, we made new meals, but those will all get eaten tomorrow. Glenn is done with his supper, and he had seconds on his tater tot casserole. And there is plenty for tomorrow, and that should take care of the rest of his leftovers. Alright, so I'm just going to put some sour cream on here. I don't have any more avocados, so no guacamole for me. And there's my flank steak quesadillas. I'm going to sit down and enjoy this supper. And that's going to do it for this Food Pantry Week of Meals video. Well, it's mainly dinners, week of dinners, Food Pantry dinners. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. I really appreciate all the support you give me in the channel. And with that, remember to live life, be good to yourself, and be good to others. Until next time.